Chas McCormick. I don't know. Is Chas McCormick or is Brandon B like the bigger story? Because Chas keeps being
personally,
great.
Coming off of being the American League Player of the Week, which I don't think anybody would dispute for a second if you said that's the first time he's ever won that award. Yeah, and you never thought he would ever win one. But because he won one and now he continues to stay hot, my first question to you is he untradeable? Not for the long haul, not for the realistic possibilities of what can be, but because for this season, as much as Dubon did it early, without Chas McCormick, where the hell would you be? This guy, who your manager seemingly does not like, has to like. He has no choice. This is the classic case of forcing someone to play you and then like you, because no matter what you did to keep the man down, he takes a licking, keeps on ticking, and he keeps coming up big for you. And I know it's unrealistic and it's a crazy thing to say because I've seen on social media, is Altuve the only untradeable one? Or Altuve and Jordan. Altuve, Jordan, and maybe Fromber, or yes, Fromber. Chas might be in that mix as much as we've been talking about packages for certain players. Julks, you can have him. Jake, you can have him. Chas, you can't have him this year.
Nope. Chas McCormick is absolutely a major part of this team. The only time I'm considering trading Chas McCormick is the deal we talked about yesterday. And we're going to revisit that a little bit in the 1 o'clock hour about Luis Robert and Dylan Cease and like what that would take and why it's not totally realistic. But unless you're getting like that caliber of a player in return, your upgrade is in left field. Like that's where you can upgrade the most. And also, as great as he's playing though, Joel, do you think people are like banging down the door for Chas McCormick? Like it's kind of like Corey Julks. Like a lot of people in these trade talks that are happening on social media and fans are like, let's move this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. Like Corey Julks' name comes up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think he has any value.
Well, the question first, Joe, becomes who has a bigger upside long term? Because Julks is younger, somewhat, I believe. Julks probably more athletic and steals more bases. But Chas on the big league level, all the way up to the World Series and the catches and the different things he did and the way he, quietly hit the ball the way he did in the playoffs, that I think that there are teams, and I think you'd have to be a good to really above average team saying, we don't need someone that really is a impact, knock your socks off guy, but we need someone to upgrade what we have. Well, if we put a Chas McCormick in, at the bottom of our lineup, but put him in the outfield, and we could use a guy like that. He's not a guy that goes to a rebuilding team and becomes like this leader / star on a team.
Sure.
But I think there are teams that can't turn the other way and not say Chas McCormick, because it's not just a 1 year like Dubon. We're waiting to see, because Dubon is having an out-of-body experience based on what he's been as a baseball player leading into this season offensively. Now, the question then becomes, is he going to be Montero next year? Or is he going to be a guy that kind of builds on this and is able to sustain it? You don't know. So I don't think Dubon literally has the kind of value McCormick does, because McCormick's shown he can be a major league hitter for more than one season. He's got pop. He can do a lot of different things. They're both versatile.
Yep.
But I understand what you're saying. I don't think you're going to get like a massive return, but I think there would be interest.
I don't know how much more interest, like how much more he gets you than what Miles Straw did, 3 years ago? Like, I just don't think – I like Chas a lot. Chas McCormick is playing –
I would dare say maybe Miles Straw had more value.
Like, it was maybe more intriguing. Now, Chas is playing right now better than, honestly, anyone has at the center field position for the Houston Astros since 2017 or really since Springer moved to right field. Like, Chas has played at an elite level a lot this season in the bat. When he's batting. Now, his fielding, I think, still leaves a lot to be desired.
A lot?
Yeah.
I think it's an occasional hiccup. It's not like a brain fart. Jake's good for a break fart almost every game.
Chas is my it's not like a beef, but like when I look at Chas play, to me, there's plays where the ball's like 10 feet in front of him, and I just feel like he should be able to get it, and he just can't. I think he's just like a little limited. Like he's a really solid, good center fielder that can, yes, like we saw it in the World Series, make incredible catches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I just don't think he's like that.
I mean, look, he's made him at Minute Maid. He's made him
for sure.
He makes him a lot.
For sure. I just don't like when Jake Myers is at his best as a fielder. I don't think Chas is that close. Like, I think he's still really talented, but he's just not like that level we've seen in the past, or like comparing to a Springer. Like he's nowhere near that. That's also an incredibly high bar.
It is.
But what he's done offensively this year, like, I remember, Chandler Rome will occasionally just bring up this tweet where he tweeted once upon a time, like, where would this team be without Dubon? I think that's kind of where I look at Chas McCormick right now. It's just like, where would this team be without Chas McCormick?
I mean, and again, as much as everybody's saying maybe it's just not our year, maybe we're just cursed, maybe this, maybe that. Well, maybe you should turn it on the other side and flip it and realize, because you've had a Dubon, because you've had a Chaz, because you've had a Corey Julks, and to some degree, because I think most people had written off Jake Myers, because you've had a Jake Myers, but you've had a JP France. We've just went 5 to 6 to 7 guys that you weren't expecting anything from, for the most part, that have been the reason why you've salvaged a season to this point in the year and have a legit chance to go on a deep playoff run once you get healthy. Without those guys, your season is lost.
Yeah, Chaz has been really a guy that's just like, he's just been glue. I think it's like the best way to put it. Like, he's been the glue that has kept this team together. But
he's also needed glue, Joe, mentally to keep his head together, knowing that his manager wasn't necessarily in his corner.
They sent him down last year.
Dubon didn't have to deal with that.
Because Dubon's, like, they sent Chaz down last year. Like, I think that's almost been, and it probably rightfully, like, Chaz has forced people to forget that. But early on in the season last year, when people got healthy, they sent Chas McCormick to AAA. And then there was an injury, and he came back literally like the next day. Like, there was a moment in time where Dusty Baker said, Chaz, you're a minor league baseball player for us. And James Click agreed. And since that moment, Chaz has proved all of them wrong. Chas McCormick has consistently played above where you've wanted him. And yeah, he's not in like the untouchable category for me, because frankly, like, there's like 3 guys on this roster who are untouchable. Mm-hmm. And we'll get like deeper into that.
Well, we talked about Pena yesterday, which shows you
he's not.
Yeah, the only guys, like I said, that should be in the discussion of untouchable are Altuve, Jordan, and Fromber. Yeah. And other than that, everything's on the table.
I put Tucker in that category. Like,
I don't.
Unless like Luis Roberts coming back.
Right.
It's just such an extreme where, like, I don't think that trade's realistically going to happen. But, he is a guy that, like, I would have Kyle Tucker in that untouchable category for anything. But I can get why some people would view that. The other thing from last night, now look, Dusty Baker has done a really good job of picking his spots, or from yesterday afternoon's game, is with Montero. Mm-hmm. Montero is not pitching in high leverage situations. He's not. But
which he shouldn't be.
In his last 6 appearances, he's pitched 9.1 innings, given up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. His 3 outings before that gave up 9 hits, 9 earned runs, and 2 2/3. So, like, the last 6 versus the previous 3 have been totally different. He hit 97 yesterday. I'm not saying Rafael Montero's back, but it's at least watching yesterday's game.
It's baby steps, Joe.
Exactly.
It's okay. You're hyper managing a guy so that at least he's serviceable, and you're also trying to find out if you can get him back where he once was. But now the next step is going to be monumental, because now instead of playing the Rockies or doing mop-up duty against teams you're either trailing by 4 or up by 4 on, now the next step is going to be, can you put him back into the 6th inning of a tighter game? Can you put him back into situations where he has control of his breaking stuff? He doesn't leave 0-2 pitches screaming, hit me in the middle of the plate.
Yeah.
And he can get back to where he was a year ago. Maybe not completely, because that was maybe unrealistic, but get down to a guy that in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th can give you what you need.
It is that the path to that is going to be fascinating.
Highly concerned about those situations right now.
But you have to try. Do
you have to?
I think you do. I think you need a definitive answer at some point. Like, let's say, like, these last 6 appearances, if he does his next 4 and he goes 10 straight appearances with 3 earned runs, and that's all he's given up, and he has pitched much better, the location looks better, at some point, the curiosity factor, like, okay, like, well, what happens when we put this guy in a high leverage situation again? You got to cross that bridge.
It's a really, really fine line, though, Joe, because if you put him out there and he capsizes, you probably write him off for the rest of the year, because mentally he's just done, and you're still paying him, and you can't cut him. So, and you're
Agreed.
on the hook for 2 more years for him. So that's why I'm saying it's a fine line, because where he is right now is at least an innings eater with an above average fastball that can get you by and do what Seth Martinez used to do with a better chance of staying right where it is because he has a better fastball. But if you put him in another high leverage situation or you throw him into the fire too soon and he fails, he could implode.
Cool. Like, then implode. Like, I'm fine.
Well, then
with
he
that.
better have a massively infected hangnail that sits him out the rest of the year, like Josh
or
Donaldson with the Yankees.
he just goes back to what he is now, which is he only goes in when there's a 4-run lead. But to me, when you look at this team and you have 4 guys in your bullpen that are in the top 10 in appearances, you need Montero to get back to where he was, at least close to where you can help, lessen the stress for those guys. You need Abreu and Neris and Presley and Maton to be pitching less the rest of the season, because even if you get someone at the deadline, like you just need innings that matter from Montero, and so you need the answer. And I think we're getting close to the point again where it's time to see if he can give you that answer. The other big thing from yesterday's game, Brandon Bielak. He was really solid once again. What the Astros have got from him, JP France, has been absolutely incredible this season. We talked more about Bielak's start yesterday here on the Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.